Hey everyone, welcome to another video of Once Upon a Dribble. I wanted to continue my sort of quarterly 25% of the way through the season review, handing out some report cards, talking about some of the trends and stats that have stood out to me. Last time I talked about the Magic, the Thunder, the Suns, the Celtics, the Warriors, and I wanted to continue in a second part because there are a lot of other teams that deserve to be shouted out, whether that's good or bad. I'm recording this on Friday the 8th, and in light of last night's games in which the Pacers pulled out a thriller over the Bucks and the Lakers just plastered the Pelicans, I thought, you know what, let's just focus on these two teams in this episode and highlight some of the things that have been going really well for them lately. These two teams aren't necessarily juggernauts yet. They're both at around a 60% winning percentage, which is about a 50-win pace over the course of an 82-game regular season. But they're obviously playing extremely well right now and extremely well as of late. And they're good in very different ways. So I wanted to highlight that, talk about these two teams. I'll talk about some other teams in another video as we kind of progress through the season. But let's talk about these two. First and foremost, I want to hit up the Lakers. The Lakers are currently 14-9. And like I said, that's about a 50-win pace projected over a full season. And the big reason for that is LeBron. I don't think that's too crazy to say. He's having one of the best seasons he's had in a while. And it continues to boggle the mind. I don't know how he does it, but he's doing it nevertheless. We got to stop saying it's 39-year-old LeBron playing at an exceptional elite level. We just got to say it's simply LeBron playing at that exceptional elite level. After a 3-5 start to the season for the Lakers, over the last 15 games, they're 11-4, which is a fantastic pace. And if you filter out those last 15 games for the Lakers, LeBron didn't play that one game against Portland about a month ago. So over his last 14, which is the Lakers' last 15, he's averaging 25, 7, and 7. And has shooting splits of 55% from the field, 46% from three, and then 74% from the free throw line. We're talking like Miami Heat LeBron levels of efficiency right now, especially with the volume, where in like the last couple of seasons with Anthony Davis going out or with some subpar supporting casts, LeBron's volume has been through the roof. Last year he was taking north of 20 shots a game and kind of had to do it out of necessity. And he's still being fairly efficient. Like last year, he was taking 22 shots per game, still shot 50% from the field. Last year, he took 22 shots per game again, still 52% from the field. But with him being healthy, with AD being relatively healthy, and with the supporting cast starting to get healthier now, we saw earlier in the year the Lakers had a myriad of injuries to some of their key rotation guys. But they're finally starting to get back on the court, which is a big reason why I think we're seeing the Lakers start to win a lot more games. Again, they're 11-4 over the last 15, but it's creating this hyper-efficient version of LeBron. And we're seeing this efficiency play out in quite a few ways. First and foremost, LeBron is still, in my opinion, he's the greatest finisher I've ever seen. And he's at least easily in that conversation of the top, 2 or 3 ever in terms of being there right at the rim. Here are all of the restricted field goal attempts this year, sorted by volume. First and foremost, I want to shout out Giannis, who, with his sort of shot profile and his shot chart, everyone knows where Giannis wants to get to on the floor. And despite that, he still gets there and he still finishes insanely efficiently, which it's just crazy. 79% in the restricted area for Giannis. But you go down here, LeBron is 4th in volume this year amidst a bunch of big men. Giannis, AD, Mobley, Gobert, Capella, Embiid, Jokic, etc. LeBron's right there in the midst of all of them, and he's converting 76.6% of his restricted area attempts, which is insane. And then on top of that, out of all of these high volume guys at the rim, LeBron has taken over 100 above the break threes, and he's hit 42% of them. Like it's honestly ridiculous. And you look at some of these other guys, and they're just not as prolific, not only at the rim but also from the three-point line. The only other guys taking a lot of threes are Franz Wagner, but he's shooting 33%. Embiid's down at 34. Jokic hasn't been shooting the ball very well from three-point land this year. He's at 31%, but just like unparalleled efficiency from LeBron. Like I said, we're talking like 2014 Miami Heat levels of efficiency right now. Where back when he was the Heat, he was shooting less than 20 shots per game. This year, he's at around 17 shots per game. The efficiency, again, is just through the roof. He's at 55% right now on the season. 41% from three. And again, this is like the big reason why we're seeing the Lakers succeed as of late. He remains, high offensive load. Box creation is in the 98th percentile, so he's creating a lot of open shots for teammates per 100 possessions. And then on defense, I mean, he's right there with the best of them. I mean, he's contributing to a Laker defense that is elite right now, and he's flanked by a lot of size and a lot of versatility, a lot of length, just like what we saw in 2020. And it's cool to see his usage be varied as well. I mean, obviously, he still thrives as a pick and roll ball handler, but we're seeing him in ISO be successful. Again, with his shot, we're seeing him be a successful spot up guy as well. So it's cool to see the different ways in which LeBron has been used and why he's been so successful this year for the Lakers. And then you look at the on-off ratings, and I mean, his is through the roof. I mean, right now, so the Lakers offensive rating when he's on the court is a 115.3, which is just a tick above league average. And then when he's off the court, that tanks to 99.8, which is like, that's almost 15 points below league average, which is extremely bad. And then the defense is right there when he's on the court as an above average league defense. And then as far as total net rating, 8.3 when he's on the court, minus 12 when he's off. That makes for a 20.3 on-off swing, which is up there with Jokic. And Jokic is like the king of this stat. So pretty cool to see. And the next thing I want to talk about with the Lakers is the defense, especially since Jared Vanderbilt's come back. Obviously, he's only been back for 3 games. He's only played 43 minutes. He's playing like 13 to 15 minutes per game since he's come back. But in those minutes when he's on the court, the Lakers' defensive rating is 97.8. You know, that's obviously an unsustainable number. That's like 17 to 18 points below league average. But it's clear that he does a lot for them as he compliments guys like Ruby, like Cam, LeBron himself, taking on a lot of these tough perimeter matchups. The Lakers just have a lot of size and they have a lot of length. One other thing I wanted to note. So yeah, over the last 15 games, the Lakers are currently have the number 2 defense. Over the last 15, only behind the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're ahead of teams like the Rockets, the Celtics. The offense still leaves a lot to be desired. The offense right now, on the season as a whole, they're in the 20s, I believe. But over the last 15, it's a little bit better. Right now, it's 17th over the last 15. So it has improved a little bit. Ideally, you want to see that tick up a little bit. But if they're going to have an elite defense, then they're going to be able to pull things out. One thing I do want to note, though, with the offense is Anthony Davis's interesting splits. He's shooting 67% in the restricted area, and for that volume, that's very good. He's 58 for 115 in the paint right now, highest volume on the Lakers by far, and also very high efficiency, 50%, which is awesome. But after that, it just falls off a cliff. 8 for 46 from mid-range, 17%. He has just not taken any threes this year, despite, for whatever reason, before the year, we were hearing that Darvin Ham was saying that he wanted to see Davis let the 3-ball fly a little bit more. I don't know what's gone into that and why we haven't necessarily seen that for whatever reason. But one thing to note with the Lakers offense is AD's interesting shooting splits. Obviously, he's still contributing from a defensive perspective. Of all guys to play at least 500 minutes, Anthony Davis is right there in this plus-minus category. This is basically expected field goal percentage versus actual field goal percentage when players are attempting shots against these guys. So AD, I mean, minus guys are shooting 11.1% worse against Anthony Davis compared to what they're expected to do in an average scenario. So he's still very much an elite defender, an elite rim deterrent, but just one thing to keep an eye on. Another thing with the Lakers is that they are an elite clutch time team right now. They've played in 11 clutch time games. They're 8-3 in clutch time games. Let's see here. The offense is 12th in the league right now, their clutch time offense. But what makes them so good and the reason they have a 23.8 net rating, which is 4th, is because of this defense. 93.8 defensive rating in the clutch, which is almost 4 whole points better than Sacramento, interestingly enough, who is 2nd place right now in their 9 clutch time games. And obviously the common denominator here is LeBron. Looking at some clutch time numbers, minimum 20 field goal attempts in clutch time scenarios. Again, clutch time is score within 5 minutes left in 4th quarter or overtime. LeBron James is 2nd in the league right now in field goal percentage. He's shooting 65.5% in these scenarios, behind only Tyrese Halliburton, who we'll talk about here in a second, who's shooting 70% from the field in clutch time scenarios. And it's true. This is a big reason why the Lakers are able to close out games. One cool thing to note, though, is we all know the 2020 Lakers, the team that won the title, they were elite because they set this NBA record when leading after the third quarter. They were 57-0. Yeah, between the regular season through the NBA Finals when leading after three quarters. So far this year, they're 11-0, leading after three quarters. The only other undefeated team in the league right now in that regard are the New York Knicks at 9-0. But pretty interesting to see that they're closing games extremely well right now, and that's a big reason why they are performing well. For the Pacers, it's all about the offense. So last Saturday, this is a little bit of an older tweet. This is from the 4th, which was 4 days ago. But last Saturday against the Heat, the Pacers put on this insane offensive performance. So they dropped 144 points on 65, 50, 80 splits on 85 shots. And that's only been replicated 3 other times in NBA history. You have the Wolves, who did it last year, the Hakeem 93 Rockets, and then the Showtime Lakers, who, insane in their own right, did that 66% on almost 100 field goal attempts, which is just like unparalleled offense. But the Pacers did this without Tyrese in that game, which is actually ridiculous. But, you know, Halliburton in his own right is one of the best offensive engines we've ever seen so far. From the point guard perspective, obviously we want to see him do this over a whole year. Obviously we want to see what this looks like in a postseason setting, but so far we're getting some historic results for a guard. Tyrese, 619 minutes so far this season. The Pacers are a plus 5.4 when he's on the court, and the offensive rating is 127.8, which is 14 points, almost 14 points above league average. And then when he's off the court in their 340 minutes, they are just below even. The offense just falls off a cliff without him there on the floor. Defense isn't great either way. It's worse than league average when he's off. It's really below league average when he's on. But they're like, you know what? We're not going to stop anyone, but we're going to outscore everybody on the floor. And what Halliburton does that's insane is he's getting a lot of his guys extremely clean looks, especially from three. Here are the Pacers stats sorted by 3-point field goal percentage and split between when Tyrese is on and when he's off the floor. All of their best guys are getting cleaner looks and shooting better when he's on the floor. Bruce Brown, 39% when Halliburton is on, 31% when he's off. Miles Turner, 33% to 27%. Obi Toppin, 37% to 36%, just a slight difference there. Buddy Hield is shooting 5% better with Tyrese on the floor. I mean, it's pretty crazy to see the impact that he's having on these guys' looks. Here is Halliburton's scouting report from Crafted NBA. Just an absolutely insane offensive player right now. The load, the box creation, the portability, the passer rating, the overall plus minus, his true shooting percentage, his shot quality. Obviously, the defense leaves a lot to be desired. We've already gone over that. That's not only a him problem, but it's a problem for the Pacers as a whole, which is why they aren't exactly juggernauts right now, but the offense is just ridiculous. Another cool part about the Pacers, actually, sorry, one more thing I wanted to note with Halliburton is Halliburton is not really turning the ball over. So this is sorted by bad pass turnovers per 100 possessions, and Halliburton is only averaging 1.56 per 100, which is 24th in the league. And then when you compare that to his assists for minimum 500 minutes, obviously he is far and away leading the league at 16.07. Additionally, he's averaging 38.4 assist points per game. I mean, just the efficiency and the way they're taking care of the ball is why this offense is so damn efficient. Another cool thing to see is that they're just getting some elite play out of their backup point guard, TJ McConnell, on the season, that he has over a 4.2 assist to turnover ratio. His total, he has 59 assists on the season, 14 turnover. And they just have a lot of shooters. I mean, Halliburton himself is shooting 44% on 9 attempts per game. Buddy Hield is shooting 39% on 7 attempts. Turner isn't shooting the ball great, but for a big man who can respectably stretch the floor, it's not terrible. Nesmith, 44%. Bruce Brown, 36. Obi Toppin, 37. Mathurin shooting 36. Those are all average to above league average 3-point shooters. And then it's cool to see guys like pressure the rim as well, like Obi Toppin finding a role for himself in Indiana. This was last week, so the numbers are a little dated, but most efficient scores off of cuts by points per possession. Obi Toppin, as of November 28th, was leading the league at 1.81. So another really cool thing to see. And the efficiency of the offense is just ridiculous. I mean, got to go over it one more time. Last year, the Kings had the number one offense in the league, and their relative offensive rating was 4.6. So their offensive rating was 4.6 points above league average. Compare that to the Pacers this year, who have the number one offense. Take a guess. 8.9 plus 8.9. Like, it's, again, I can't even begin to say how ridiculous it is. 8.9 would be like an all-time offense if this is going to be sustained over 82 games. I'm sure it's going to drop a little bit as the season goes on. Guys get tired, the season stretches, guys get hurt, teams adapt to other teams. So I would assume that number drops. This is still clearly the best offense in the association so far. The issue with the Pacers, obviously, is going to be their defense. Home and road, their offensive rating stays the same. In fact, their offense is a little bit better on the road than it is at home. But the defense is just deplorable on the road. 128.7 defensive rating is, I mean, that's atrocious. At home, it's actually around league average, 113.8. But that's not going to get the job done. Excited to see how things look like over the next little bit for Indiana. They have the Lakers, again, who have a top defense coming up tomorrow night for the in-season championship. Then they have Detroit, Milwaukee, not great defenses, but they have Minnesota, the Clippers, and then Houston down here a little bit further. Those are some top defenses as well, so I'm curious to see how they continue to do against some of these other teams. But yeah, overall, I'm very excited for this Lakers-Pacers showdown coming up here tomorrow night. Would love to hear your predictions. Would love to hear some other things that you've noticed about these two teams. Do you think that they can sustain it? Are the Lakers shaping up to have a top defense? Is LeBron going to shape out to be an MVP candidate? Are they going to make a move at the trade deadline? Do you think the Pacers offense is going to sustain? Is Halliburton going to be an MVP candidate? Are they going to make some moves at the trade deadline? Very big questions for both of them, but I think it goes without saying that these two teams deserve to be in the in-season championship final. They're playing some of their best basketball so far, and you can only hope that these two teams sustain it moving forward. So again, I'll catch you guys in the next one. We'll hit some other teams in the future, and until then, enjoy some basketball.